Welcome to Tech Blueprint, a window that lets you know the latest technology news in the world. When your competitors desperately try to close a door, you unexpectedly find yourself opening a window. The data just released by the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology shocked everyone. In the first 8 months, China's chip exports reached 905.18 billion yuan, with a soaring growth rate of 23.3%. What does this number mean? This means that every day, over 3.7 billion yuan worth of Chinese chips are shipped around the world, nearly a quarter more than the same period last year. Those Americans who once believed that blockades could strangle China's chip industry may now need to reassess the situation. In 2019, the United States implemented its first round of chip control measures against China, restricting wafer fabs like TSMC and Samsung from providing chip manufacturing services to Huawei. The following year, related controls were further tightened, and shipments of advanced chip equipment to China began to be affected. Their logic seems simple. By cutting off semiconductor equipment like lithography machines, China's development in advanced process technology would be stifled. Furthermore, EDA tools would be restricted, and the flow of chip talent would be controlled. This combination of measures would make it extremely difficult for China to develop its chip industry. However, Chinese companies have leveraged their experience to forge a viable alternative. No cutting-edge lithography equipment. Then strive for perfection in mature processes. Can't buy advanced equipment. Develop your own alternatives. Markets blocked. Explore new markets. Through this back and forth, Chinese companies have gradually achieved localized restructuring of the chip industry chain. In the first 8 months of 2025, China not only exported 233 billion chips, a 20.8% year-on-year increase, but also surpassed 900 billion yuan in export value. This signifies that Chinese chips have not only broken the technological blockade and industry monopoly of the US and the West, but also demonstrates the strength of China's chip manufacturing industry reaching beyond its borders. US chip controls are beginning to fail. At the same time, the US chip control strategy is gradually becoming ineffective. Take NVIDIA, a dominant player in the AI chip market, as an example. It originally believed that after its advanced AI chips were regulated, Chinese companies would flock to it, paying exorbitant prices for its castrated chips. However, the reality is that after the resumption of supply of AI chips like the H20, Chinese manufacturers have stopped buying them. Poor chip performance and security issues are one reason, but a more significant factor is that China already has mature domestic alternatives. Products designed by Chinese chip companies like Huawei and Cambricon are already comparable in performance to some of NVIDIA's products. This has effectively made their H20 chips less popular, with their market share plummeting from a peak of 95% to less than 50%. Even NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang publicly lamented that the US restrictions cost the company $15 billion in sales, money that should have been used to invest in next-generation innovation. The US government sought to protect domestic companies through a blockade, but instead deprived them of the world's largest market. To me, this reflects not only the failure of US chip control policies, but also the gradual backlash of Chinese chips against the US chip industry. Today, the majority of products that have achieved breakthroughs in the Chinese chip industry are based on mature process technologies of 7 nanometers or higher. Once China's domestically produced EUV lithography machines and other advanced manufacturing equipment catch up, the US's market position in 3 nanometers and 5 nanometers chips will be challenged. It's no wonder that Jensen Huang has been constantly speaking out on chip issues recently, hoping to secure greater market share for China. Because they clearly understand that US restrictive measures will only create stronger competitors for NVIDIA. This will only harm its commercial development and future competition for industry dominance. A look at history shows this. Despite being completely blockaded by the West, the Soviet Union still developed nuclear weapons, satellites, and rockets. In the 1980s, Japan's semiconductor industry was suppressed by the US, but South Korea and Taiwan seized the opportunity to rise. Technological gaps can temporarily widen the gap, but human wisdom and determination ultimately determine victory or defeat. The Chinese chip industry's export performance over the past 8 months may appear as a series of cold numbers, but in reality, it is the result of the tireless efforts of countless engineers, technicians, and industrial workers. From lithography machines to etching machines, from EDA software to packaging and testing, every bottleneck is being tackled with dedicated efforts. This collective breakthrough across the entire industry chain is far more convincing than any single piece of data. Today, American chip giants find themselves in a difficult position. On the one hand, they truly need China's vast market to maintain revenue and R&D investment. On the other, government restrictions prevent them from fully competing. The result is that they can only watch helplessly as Chinese companies erode their market share. Of course, the Chinese chip industry cannot afford to be complacent. The rapid growth in exports stems largely from a relatively low base, primarily concentrated in the mid- and low-end markets. The real challenge lies in achieving breakthroughs in advanced processes like 3 nanometers and 2 nanometers. How can we gain a firm foothold in high-end sectors like CPUs and GPUs? How can we build global brand influence? These issues will require time and patience to resolve. But one thing is certain, China today is no longer the country it was 6 years ago, and the US chip control measures will ultimately backfire. What are your thoughts on this? Feel free to leave a comment and discuss.